Original.
Hello, and welcome to Webcrawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite mysteries. Each week, we will introduce our topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. I'm Allie Siegel.
I'm Melissa Stettin.
And I, producer Maria.
Melissa, do we have any patrons this week?
We do. We have the original Chair Bear and Sammy.
Welcome to the team, folks. I'm very excited for today's main episode. Yesterday, I discovered this show called Untold Stories of the ER.
Amazing show.
I thought it was a documentary, and it turned out to be some of the worst reenactments I've ever seen in my entire life, which makes it even more enjoyable. I put some of them on my Instagram stories and on my main Instagram if you want to check them out. We'll put some on the Webcrawlers Instagram as well. Which led me to another show called Sex Sent Me to the ER.
What?
Let me tell you about the dark, hidden world of ER reenactment shows. It's incredible. So I thought it would be fun to do just a light, fun, funny, crazy episode about crazy ways that people end up going to the ER.
Love it.
A lot of these stories involve gynies and buttholes. Some of them include wieners and penises. And penises. We are lucky enough to have a paramedic on the show who has witnessed some crazy things as well. So let's get into it. First of all, one thing that I've heard, which is very interesting to me, is there's a correlation between the full moon and the amount of people who go to hospitals.
You know, I was watching that show 911.
Yes.
Like the remake.
Yeah.
And one of the episodes was on it was a full moon. And they're like, oh, we better get ready because people go crazy when there's a full moon. Like there's more calls.
Yes. So 40% of medical professionals believe that the moon phases influence human behavior. That's based on a National Institute of Health study.
That's crazy.
Yes. So in 2011, this study looked at more than 5,400 patients to try to find a correlation between the moon cycle and psychiatric emergency room visits. And the data showed that there actually is an increase.
Well, people turning into werewolves, too.
Well, yes, exactly. It's called the Twilight theory. There is actually an increase in visits. Not huge, but there is an increase. There's also a stronger correlation between severe illness and aggressive behaviors in the beginning and the end of the moon cycle. So you might wonder, why is that? They attributed it to changes in, quote, neural and endocrine cell fluids and functionality, whatever that means.
Sure. I believe it.
But I would also imagine a lot of women I know cycle with the moon.
That's what I was thinking. Like women be crazy during
And women be crazy. I bet women be stabbing their husbands, getting into a bunch of shopping accidents, choking on bonbons.
Shopping accidents.
And they gotta go to the hospital. This man named Dr. Oh my God, I was just so misogynistic. I just said a man named Dr. Beecher. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. Oh,
and
no,
that
it
was
is a man.
after you said women got into shopping accidents. So yeah,
well,
it's like a pretty intense 3 minutes.
Wait,
the patient is his son.
Yeah. No, what is it? It's the doctor said, "Oh my God,
I cannot operate on this person. This is my son." Or this.
What is that?
I don't know.
Sorry.
Google it. What's that joke?
I cannot operate.
I don't think it's a joke.
What's that joke about female doctors?
What is it? Wait, I can't. I'm just going to type in, I can't operate. That's
my son.
Okay, it's coming up. A father. Okay, here it is. Maybe this is a joke. A father and son are in a car accident. The father dies at the scene and the son is rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, the surgeon looks at the boy and says, I can't operate on this boy. He is my son.
What? I thought the dad died in the car accident.
Exactly.
That is a joke. It's a goof. Or what is it? A conundrum?
It's a riddle.
It's a riddle.
It's a riddle that shouldn't be a riddle. It's a riddle that shouldn't exist.
It's a brain
buster.
Is what it is. Do you remember, to go on a little tangent, did you ever have those brain busters or whatever? They were little books when you were a kid and each one was a riddle like that and you'd have to solve it?
No.
Oh, God, I have to think of the name. Anyways, it turns out this doctor is a man as I keep reading. So Dr. Beecher, who practiced emergency medicine for 40 years, recalls his experiences as chairman of emergency services at Atlanticare Regional Medical Center in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He says you could almost tell the phase of the moon by how crowded the area of the ED was. So, interesting correlation. Another popular correlation is ghosts and hospitals.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Hospitals are probably haunted as hell. So people dying there.
There's spooky fucking places.
Yeah, like abandoned hospitals are the scariest places in the world.
Abandoned or not, let me tell you. A lot of nurses and patients report seeing ghosts in hospitals. This one nurse named Beth Wilson, I found her on Quora, one of the best websites around. She wrote, and I quote, I worked in intensive care for 12 years, and I saw some strange things. By the way, I want to be a reenactment actress, so if you like the work I've done today on these rereadings, you can book me.
You could do it.
Oh, I
think you could too.
I'd be incredible. If you're a casting agent, hit me up. One night, we had 4 patients in a row lose very important lines. I don't know what that means. No one was in the room with them. Our desks were designed so that we had a desk between 2 patient rooms. We could see both rooms from one desk. The patients were sedated on the vent. The first had a central line that pulled out. Okay. We managed that, stabilized the patient, and then the next patient pulled out their breathing tube. The next, a feeding tube. The next, another breathing tube. There was no reason we could figure out for this.
Oh, they were pulling out their tubes?
All of them just started pulling out their tubes, I guess. I think she's alluding to something supernatural was pulling out their stuff. Some patients would see a little boy in red pajamas come to their door or into their rooms. The patient would die soon afterwards.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I only had one patient that saw him. She had a stroke. We were doing comfort care only. I was working the night shift. Throughout the night, she had periods of being afraid, so I would hold her hand and we would talk the best she could, and that would calm her down. During one such talk, she said, "Watch out for Bruce. Bruce is my dad's name." The woman didn't know me, did not know my dad, and I had made no mention of him while taking care of her. I said, "Who is Bruce?" thinking maybe it was someone close to her. She laughed and said, "You know who he is. You look just like him." I had chills all over. I do look like my dad, just like him. She said, "Watch out for him. Make sure he doesn't fall." And then she drifted to sleep. A little while after that, she saw the little boy dressed in red. She asked who he was and why we had children in the unit. I told her we didn't.
We haven't had children in here for 100 years.
It was an adult ICU. I asked her to describe him. She said, "I guess he's about 2 or so, blonde, wearing red pajamas. He comes to the door and just stares at me. He doesn't come inside." She died later that day on the shift. Are you thinking 2 seems too young?
I'm thinking, what do these pajamas look like?
It's like
I
a
was
little
thinking
devil.
it's like a onesie with a butt flap was what in my head is
I
what
was
I'm thinking.
thinking they were like kind of like there's like, you know, the ones you get at Christmas that are like
Yes.
like the expensive ones. I'm talking about like the button-up silk ones where
Yeah.
you've got like long pants and then
Oh.
long sleeves.
Okay,
You know, like something like a
2-year-old
kid in like the
silk
Well,
pajamas.
I wasn't thinking a 2-year-old. I was thinking like a 7-year-old
Yeah,
in
man.
like
So was I.
1940s pajamas.
Yeah, I think she's wrong that he's 2, just based on my own imagination. But I like that you're thinking a 7-year-old in like Hugh
I was
Hefner
thinking-
style
yeah.
pajamas.
Yeah.
Slick as hell. We had superstitions about certain things, she continues, such as if a patient was dying, tie a knot in the bed sheet and the patient would last through your shift. Or if a patient was dying and it seemed to be unusually prolonged, open the doors or windows and give their spirits somewhere to go.
Oh.
Sometimes patients would hold on. So be careful if you're in the hospital and the
And they
nurse
open a
opens the
window.
door.
You're fucked.
You're fucked. Sometimes patients would hold on until a certain loved one arrived at the hospital to say their goodbyes. I remember my grandma died as soon as I left the room, which was really weird.
Oh.
Yeah. Some patients would hold on until a date had passed so that they wouldn't die on an anniversary or birthday or another important date. Occasionally, we'd have a room where several patients in a row would die.
Oh.
So he started asking the chaplain to cleanse the room after 3 deaths, and then that would always end the cycle.
Oh, weird.
Very weird stuff. There were several stories like this, but
there's got to be so many spooky stories in hospitals.
but I just was gagging to move on to Sex Sent Me to the ER.
Great.
So this is a show on TLC, and it's about weird sex stuff that sends people to the ER. I'll say from a personal story, or personal is the wrong thing. It happened to a friend, and I swear to God, it did happen to a friend.
I don't mean personal. I mean a friend.
Your cousin's friend.
I swear on my life, this did not happen to me. I swear on my grandma's life, and the only ever time I swore on that was about how much I love the movie Boss Dog Idea. I had a friend. I had a friend who she and her boyfriend went to the farmer's market and they bought cucumbers and he had sex. He stuck the cucumber up her vagina.
Did
and
he
she
rinse it
got-
off first?
No, so he didn't. And she got a raging infection and she had to go to the ER and tell the doctor, because it was not a regular bacterial infection that you would get from sex. It was a
There's
farm
pesticides.
infection. Yeah, it was a farm infection.
Why
So she
did
had
they
to-
do that?
I don't kink shame here, Maria. So
No,
I
I'm
had
not, but I'm just, that's fine. You can do what you want, but like, why wouldn't you rinse it off? And like, it just seems like a lot of choices were made.
It was. Maybe they were just in the heat of the moment unpacking the farmer's market groceries and they just
Slipped in.
It just slipped right in. It slid right in the giny hole. And so she had to tell the ER doctor that her boyfriend, now husband though, so everything ends up
Oh, okay.
that's nice.
happy in the
Brought
end.
them together.
Yeah. The cucumber that brings you together keeps you together. She had to tell him that she had stuck a cucumber up her vagina. Anyways, that was not from the show. That happened
Should
to
be.
my friend. Here's one story from the show. There's this bartender lady, and a customer is in, and he's the last one there. He's handsome. They're both a little wasted. It's the end of the night. And she has always wanted to have sex on the mechanical bull at her bar.
Oh,
So
no.
She says to the guy, "Hey, do you want to have sex with me on the mechanical bull?" And he's like, "Hell yeah, baby, let's do this."
Oh, no.
So she turns on that mechanical bull, they hop on there and they start having sex. Everything's good at first. She doesn't put it too high so that they get bucked off. They're just enjoying their time. All of a sudden, she gets electrocuted in her vagina. She feels just wait. She feels pulsing electricity burning through her hoo-ha. She's thrown off the bull. She looks at her sexual partner. He's being electrocuted all through his body in his penis and his balls. He falls to the floor. He starts having a seizure. She's so confused.
God.
She runs over to him. She touches him, and then she gets electrocuted again. She's so confused. She calls 911. They're both being electrocuted and in so much pain. The paramedics come. They touch the guy, and when they touch the guy, they get electrocuted again. And they're so confused. Their first assumption is that the electrocution came from the bull.
Yeah.
They ask the guy, like, do you have a pacemaker? Could that be it? He says no. It turns out he has a defibrillator in his body, and it wasn't properly calibrated. And so, yeah. And so from the sex and from riding the bull, his heart rate had gone a little bit up. So it had started shocking him. And because they were having sex and they were essentially one body at the time, since they were united, the shock went through his heart, down his body, through his penis, dong, and into her vagina. And
oh my God.
created a circuit system where it was just shocking the both of them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So they had to go to the ER. They had to recalibrate the defibrillator and then give her anesthetic and told her to sit on a bag of ice for a while and refrain from mechanical bull sex.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's one story from Sex Sent Me to the ER.
I can't imagine what the reenactment was for that.
Oh, it was pretty good, and I would have been fantastic at it.
I bet.
Here's one that's not so sweet.
Oh.
A woman and her husband.
Okay.
A woman and her husband. It's post-Halloween. They have kids. They've been in that Halloween kid grind for a while, picking out costumes, going to trick-or-treat parades at school, taking their kids trick-or-treating, going to Halloween parties. They're exhausted. Finally, trick-or-treating has passed, and they get a night off from doing kid stuff, and they decide we can finally have sex and let's spice it up.
Uh-oh.
They go through their kids' trick-or-treat bag, and they find some Pop Rocks. And the woman says,
No.
I wonder what would happen if I put these up my vagina.
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it does.
Why would...
She thinks if I put these up my vagina, maybe it will be fun for some oral sex, or for if we're having penetrative sex, maybe it will add some explosions or who knows what.
I guess.
The Pop Rocks dissolve and cause an immediate and severe allergic and burning reaction in her vagina. It swells up, swells closed, and gets the man's penis stuck in her vagina.
What?
It essentially swells around his penis because she has an allergic reaction and he can't get his penis out.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. So then they have to call a babysitter for the kids.
While
And
they're still united, as you call
while they're
it.
still united in holy matrimony, and go call an ambulance and go to the ER and get histamine and clean out all the Pop Rocks from her vagina so that they can be separated from
my God.
one another. So, moral of the story is don't stick candy up your vahoo-ha.
Yeah.
Here's one that's even weirder. There's a patient and his significant other, come into the ER holding ventriloquist dummies.
No. No.
Yeah. And they refuse to speak to anyone. They refuse to speak to the nurse. They will only speak through the ventriloquist dummies.
Okay. What?
Yeah. So they're two professional ventriloquists, this couple, and they are in a fight. The ventriloquist dummy says that the man's penis hurts. So the man doesn't says this. He's like, Carl's penis is killing him. And the nurse is like, oh my God, like, can you talk? Or is the ventriloquist going to talk the whole time? The nurse looks at the guy's dick and he sees that the tip is super swollen and the foreskin is retracted and stuck back. And he's uncircumcised. This is a condition, I guess, called paraphimosis, they say. It's where the foreskin is cutting off blood flow to the penis. So basically the foreskin gets stuck and acts like a rubber band and cuts off cuts off blood flow to the penis. It's like when a ring gets stuck on your finger and it's too tight. If untreated, he could lose his wiener. Meanwhile, this whole time, the ventriloquist is the one telling this story. And his significant other, who feels fine, is there yelling through her ventriloquist dummy at him and the nurse.
This was all reenacted.
Oh, and this is all reenacted for the show with two people, their ventriloquist dummy, and the nurse. By the way, the best things about these shows is that the people playing the nurses and the doctors are usually the actual nurses and doctors doing the acting.
Oh, that's right.
Interesting.
I remember watching episodes because they did like a talking head thing, but like the actual doctor would be there and I'd be like, huh.
Yeah, which I don't understand how that's not a violation of like HIPAA laws, but because I guess maybe they're not disclosing who the actual
if it's
happened
anonymous.
to. Yeah, I guess it's anonymous, but it's actors for the patients, and then it's the actual doctors fulfilling their weird acting dreams.
Who don't know how to act, who are just even worse than these reenactment
Yes, which is honestly what makes the show, I think, so good.
So crazy.
Yes. So apparently one of the ways to cure paraphimosis is to stick your penis in a bowl of sugar.
What?
Apparently, sugar can draw out the fluid in things.
So it's like
Oh, like
rice with your
rice.
phone.
Yes. Rice with the phone is to sugar with a penis. So
Okay, got it.
the nurse comes in with a bowl of sugar, and the spouse ventriloquist dummy is like, I'm not going to let you put my husband's dick in a bowl of sugar. I'm going to do that. So the nurse has to give the sugar to the woman's ventriloquist dummy. And the ventriloquist dummy holds the bowl of sugar, and the man puts the penis in it.
What?
And then after a while, the nurse comes back in, and the penis has not fixed itself.
Uh-oh.
So there's another method that works.
Uh-oh.
Essentially, it's jerking the guy off.
Oh.
You have to hold the tip of the penis or something and wait for the blood to flow or, finagle it around, which I'm surprised they haven't tried already, but we'll find out in a minute why. They do this, and the ventriloquist dummy is furious that the nurse has to touch the wiener of the guy. It fixes the penis. And then they find out later through a dialogue with the two ventriloquist dummies that this happened to him through a lap dance at a strip club. And apparently this is a phenomenon with uncircumcised penises that the friction from a lap dance can cause paraphimosis.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Now, this is not from Sex at the ER, but I thought it was pretty interesting. A woman came into the ER. She was in her 30s, perfectly healthy, complaining of severe heart pain. They did a full check on her. She was fine. Her blood tests were normal. All of her labs were normal. They did an EKG on her, and her EKG was that of someone having a heart attack. She had the EKG of someone in their 80s with severe heart failure.
Uh-oh.
It turned, yes. And then they did a ultrasound or whatever on her heart, but her heart was totally healthy. There is something called broken heart syndrome. She had just gone through a breakup, and it's a temporary heart condition that can be caused by stressful situations and extreme emotions.
Oh.
Yes. And basically, it can swell up the heart temporarily, and it causes the heart to work improperly and contract and squeeze like more forcefully. And it mimics the dynamic of a heart attack. So
weird.
it isn't an actual heart attack, but it causes the same arrhythmia of a heart attack. And it can reverse in days or weeks. It causes chest pain, shortness of breath, and irregular EKGs. So you cannot die from a broken heart, but you can almost have a heart attack.
That's sad.
Yeah, interesting to know.
That's sad.
Now some other weird ER stories that are not sexual. This I just thought was cool. This is from BuzzFeed. One time a kid shoved a popcorn kernel up his nose and didn't tell his parents.
Oh no.
No, this is actually really cool. And then his nose temperature got too hot.
No.
And the popcorn started popping.
Oh my God. So it came out like an air popper.
Yes.
Oh.
Which honestly is pretty tight.
I wonder how that feels.
I wonder how that feels. I would think it kind of feels good. Like, I would think it's like I could breathe for the first time, like expanding my nostril surface
Yeah, that must
area.
be kind of nice.
It feels kind of nice.
How hot? How do you get your nose that hot?
I don't know.
This
Let's
seems
see
like an
how
urban
hot-
legend. This
No.
seems like an urban legend.
How hot do you need it to pop popcorn?
Well, what's temperature in a microwave?
Okay, this might be. It says it has to be 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That might be an urban legend. Let's Google this one more time. Can you pop popcorn in your nose? It doesn't
see it.
I don't.
Did you just make this up?
No, I swear to God.
Where did you find this?
I found it on fakestories.net.
Yeah, urbanlegends.com.
Well, whatever. Here's another story. From Thrillist, it's called Never Trust a Plastic Surgeon from a Hardware Store. In 2009, I mean, good advice. In 2009, there was a patient presented to the emergency room in Rhode Island. She had some form of hydrogel, that's what she called it, injected in large volume, approximately 2 liters, one into each buttock.
Oh, no.
Hydrogel, which she thought was silicone, was actually bathroom caulking.
No, I've heard of this. There's like a lot of stories.
This was a phenomenon.
Stuff.
This was a phenomenon for a while. People thought they were getting like Brazilian butt lifts or whatever
Right.
when Kim Kardashian and all that was getting popular, and they were getting cement and stuff injected into their butt.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The patient said that she was injected by someone in Miami who claimed to be a nurse and who performed the procedure in their home.
Oh, no.
When she came to the ER, she had a high fever and was draining pus on both her buttocks,
No.
which were red, swollen, painful, and infected. We took her to the operating room, and because the external substance was so integrated into the tissue within and around the fat cells, I mean, it's caulking, it's cement.
Oh my
We had to
God.
make large incisions on both buttocks' fat. They had to take huge chunks out of her butt. Afterwards, her buttocks looked like she had been attacked by a bear. The only way, and you know what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't know what that looked like at all.
I
Like,
can
can't-
imagine.
I can imagine. You can't imagine? Just put on your pajama eyeglasses and just imagine a bear attacking a butt. Imagine someone. Are you frozen? Or are you just in deep thought? Maria's either really deeply thinking about what that looks like for like 10 minutes, or she's frozen. I'll just keep talking anyway.
Sure.
She just imagine taking huge bites out of a peach. Anyways, they had to fully remove the substance. She was on antibiotics for nearly a week. She ultimately went on the Tyra Banks show.
I think that's where I saw it.
Yeah. Here's another one that involves butt chugging. Remember, that was also a phenomenon when people were drinking alcohol from their butts.
Oh my God, yes.
Remember? It's so dangerous. So one guy, he had a 1 liter bottle of vodka inserted into his butt. He had to go on laxatives, charcoal, and use a type of enema to get it out. He was unable to walk, but he passed the bottle on his own.
Oh my God.
Here's one that's kind of gross, or it's actually not kind of gross. It's really gross. This is from Rebecca Lee, a registered nurse in New York, from Reader's Digest. This is the one time she says she threw up after a client.
Oh, no.
This is a story of when a gentleman came into the emergency room complaining of extreme rectal pain and a foreign body lodged into his anus. It turned out to be the leg of a wooden stool. Oh, this isn't the one where she threw up. How'd it get there, she asked. He fell into it and it got stuck inside him. Sure,
Yeah.
buddy. He asked us not to tell his wife, he said. Here's the throw up one.
Look who's back.
Look who's back.
I'm sorry. My internet seemed to have gone out, but I'm back now.
Good. Here's the throw up one. One memorable day, a young lady arrived in the department weeping bitterly because she had something in her bottom, Dr. Marsden recalls. Dr. Marsden had by now expected it to be something that the young lady had stuck in there herself, or something that perhaps a lover had placed in there. Unfortunately, that was not the case. She wishes that it was a wooden stool or a dildo. I asked her to lower her trousers, Dr. Marsden says, and then I bent down to peer at the object. That's when I realized that there was an object peering back at me.
Oh, no.
That object was a very large parasitic worm.
What?
For some reason, I envisioned the worm from like Beetlejuice in this woman's butt.
No.
How big does a parasitic worm have to be that you can see it staring back at you out of this woman's butt?
Oh, God.
That's like a snake. So apparently she had to pull it out and then she yacked.
Oh, that. I can't. How are you being an ER doctor? How are you just not puking all the time?
Oh, I would puke on patients. They'd be like, I stubbed my toe, and I'd be like, bleh. Let's take a quick break for announcements. Webcrawlers has a Patreon. To get access to rewards, bonus episodes, video episodes, ad-free episodes a day early, please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers. You can donate as little as $2 a month. Sorry, you can donate as little as $2 a month to become a patron. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star review, we will shout you out. Also, please give us 5 stars on Spotify. Don't forget to visit our merch store, webcrawlerspod.com or hothorse.horse if you're nasty. And finally, Erios has a hotline. It's really been popping off, and we've been getting tons of messages so far. So please keep them coming. We are actually pretty much caught up. So please call. And don't forget the Web Crawlers Challenge. The person who leaves the longest message wins.
626-604-6262. Erios.
Now, back to our program. Now, we're very lucky. My friend's husband is an EMT. We have an interview with Alex Burnett, EMT. He has some crazy stories of his own. a lot of them include butt things, which we love here on this podcast. A wicker cornucopia with plastic fruit stuck in her butt. A story about a penis. Giving birth without knowing you're pregnant. So we'll have a lot to discuss with him. So here is Alex. I've already introduced you, but basically, we're doing our whole episode on weird ER stories.
Yes.
I have heard from Hillary that you have some great ones.
Well, I mean, Hillary is obsessed with them. Yes, hypes them up a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Hillary hypes everything up a lot.
Yeah.
The first one she had told me about was involving a wicker cornucopia.
Yeah, that's her favorite. And it's, so it was, I was trying to remember all the details. It was either the day before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving. But I do remember it was still light out, which was an important detail for me, given the situation. Just because so we got a call and, it's very rare to actually on the ambulance to get a call for something stuck in someone's rectum, because generally people are embarrassed and it's not life-threatening. So they just go to the ER themselves, right? They don't call 911. So this was a rare one. And we didn't know responding what it was. We just were told that there was an injury. And we got there and it was I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. What I can only describe is like the Christmas tree shop. It's like like a Pier 1 type, like it was a wicker cornucopia full of fake fruit.
How big was it?
It was sizable. So, I mean, the majority of it was outside of it, and there was only for what I could glean, right? Because on the ambulance, we're not going to remove this item. All we're there at this point is to just get you to the hospital.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So we're not going to try because honestly, if something's stuck in there, it can be serious. I mean, it's always funny, but it can be very serious, right? Because people have died in the past.
Yeah, it could like perforate your colon probably, or like internal bleeding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that was the risk because these are the details that I've been obsessed with for years, right? So it was still daytime. So it's like, this is something they decided in the day to do, right? Because like stuff like this,
were they drunk or were they like inebriated?
He didn't see. You know what? If he had been drunk, it had burned off, right? Because he was just so upset. So it was a young man. I mean, he was. I don't know why this detail matters. He was fit. And they, generally you don't have like in shape people on the ambulance.
Also,
right?
was he alone or was he with a partner?
No. So a lady he was with, I don't know if they were married or whatever. So she didn't come with us, but so they had, the other detail that I thought was interesting is they had put a condom on it. So they had, right. So there's only probably two reasons you would do that. One, that thing's been other places.
Yeah.
And you want to be safe, or you it's something that shouldn't go there and you need to.
Yes.
And so the wicker had punctured. The reason we were there is because there was this wicker piece that had punctured the condom and basically like a barb had hooked in.
Oh, God.
So it was stuck. So on the ambulance, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you're all familiar. Yeah. You generally lay down on a stretcher, which we could not do with this gentleman. So we put him down face first, with the cornucopia still there. I mean, because that's what I mean for all injuries. Like, let's say you're impaled with something in your arm. We don't remove that. We secure it, get you to the hospital.
That's crazy.
So we secured the cornucopia with sheets as much as we can, right? You like basically made a donut around his butt so it didn't bounce. But in ambulances, if you've ever been in one, is not a comfortable ride.
No, yeah, it's
it's very bumpy. So I sat in what's called the jump seat, which is at his head because I didn't want him to see my face, because I couldn't stop laughing. But he was the whole way just holding his two cheeks apart. Because it was bad for him. He was in pain, but it was funny.
Oh my God.
And so I guess he was very upset. And so that's Hillary's favorite.
Yeah.
Do
you know how it was resolved?
But it feels too on theme. I mean, pretty easy. I don't know right, because they have to, getting things out of people's rectum is a talent in the ER, because depending on the object,
Yeah, it is an art.
it is. I mean, you have to figure out. I did hear this. For example, there was one story. I didn't do this call, but someone came in with a light bulb in there, and it was stuck, and they were worried about when they try and pull it out if it shatters.
Oh God!
Right, that can cause so. Took some problem solving. I don't know how they did it.
Oh my God.
With this, they've got all sorts of, because again, we don't do this, almost like laparoscopic type, like robotic type, or like flexible.
Yeah, you got to get a robot to do it.
You gotta get a robot
for the butt stuff. That's a robot job.
Definitely. It is, So I do know it was remedied and the guy was fine. That's actually, they don't give us especially they get annoyed, right? You can follow up on patients sometimes, but when they know you're following up just because something's funny, they get a little,
I can imagine,
frosty
You're like, why are you only following up on the butt stuff?
The butt stuff. Yeah, you don't want to be known as that guy only asking about butt stuff, right? But so that's, I don't know how many, I know you guys are doing Tales from the ER. I don't know how many butt stuff because there's a lot of butt stuff in India.
I imagine. Well, Hillary told me one about a guy who cut off his penis or something, or
So,
what's that story?
So a man was caught in some manner by his wife cheating. And I do think there was drugs and alcohol involved. And so to prove that he would never cheat, because he's very upset that I think his wife was going to leave him. So he did it to himself.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so we weren't the first ones there, so there were medics there first. We didn't do anything medically for this man. The medics were trying to convince him. He was in a very bummer mood, naturally. But the medics, I remember he was refusing pain meds of all kinds. And one of the medics was like, "Bro, this didn't even happen to me, and I'm hurting for you. Let me give you pain meds." And so there is this sort of, I think it is it's a rule. I don't know if it's a lot. You have to bring all the body parts to the hospital. You can't, we couldn't bring him without his member to the ER, but he wouldn't tell anyone where it was. So the police were there looking, fire was looking. It ended up being under the bed. And so we had to grab it and go to the hospital. And they did that one. I know they were successfally reattached. That it was because it was a clean cut, right? So it was, to get specific, it gets hard if something's mangled, right? But if you do it with something that's sharp, like for example, my friend's father, a lovely man, accidentally, he was snowblowing his driveway. Snowblower got jammed. He forgot to turn it off, stuck his hand in, and that one was bad. So a couple of his fingers launched out through the snowblower into his backyard, right? No. And so we had to get those fingers, but they had been thrown many feet, and of course it's getting dark out. And that one, we would not have been successful if it hadn't been for the fire department having a thermal imaging camera. They showed up, which was a really clever fix. It had not occurred to me. I think a police officer had the idea, and they showed up with a thermal imaging camera, which they use, of course, in buildings to see if there's someone they forgot, right? And they were able to pick out the fingers in the backyard.
Oh my God.
Through the camera and go grab them all. Yeah. So I know that those got reattached even too, but it was a bit more difficult. But again, any clean cut, you're lucky. So
good to know.
That's good for everyone to know who's listening, that if you're going to dismember yourself, just make sure it's a clean cut.
Make sure it's sharp.
Yes.
And then,
is there any
then
other?
You can take it back. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can take it back. Is there any other crazy stories that stand out to you?
Yeah. So here's the problem. A lot of them are super big bummers. So
I can
trying to, try and sticking to the funnier ones. We did have one. A young woman said she'd had an abdominal pain, and you say a scale 1 to 10, right? And I think she had said 5 or 6 out of 10. Check her vitals. Everything seemed okay. I was in the back, and then she kept saying that she has pressure building up in her pants, but she didn't seem in great distress. And we were pretty close. We were just a couple minutes away from the hospital. And so generally at the point I would ask people because, if I have to check, I'm going to have to cut your pants. And a lot of people don't like you ruining their clothing, right? There's no way to just nicely take off someone's pants. Yeah. You ruin them. Especially like cyclists that get in accidents, they get so mad because you ruin their very expensive.
That's crazy.
Oh, cyclists are by far the worst. They get so mad at you.
Really?
So, well, we can't do anything. We got to cut your spandex. Sir, it's always a sir.
Not the spandex.
Yeah, I think it's got to be, So, I was like, I remember they were reading jeans. I was like, look, I'm going to ruin your jeans. Are you sure you want me to? She said, I think so. I said, okay. And so I did. And so she was giving birth at this point. And I remember, and it's so silly because I had asked her if she was pregnant. She said no. And I, being an idiot, believed her.
Oh my God.
And so I said, ma'am, you're giving birth. And she said, I'm not pregnant. And I remember just saying, I don't know what to tell you.
There's a baby here.
My
baby
partner,
down here. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. And this sounds so selfish. I was panicking for myself because I had already given the radio report to the hospital. Oh. And so I had said she's not pregnant. I had said, she has abdominal pain. And we were showing, I was like, oh, they're going to chew me out so badly when we show any. And so I was scrambling to get the hospital back on the radio. They were not answering.
Oh, no.
And then I was working with a medic. So they outrank me. So the medic was driving because just abdominal pain wasn't a medic issue. Right. But then it quickly switched.
Oh,
so
God.
His name was Ben. I said, Ben, you got to get back here. We got to switch. And Ben was like, no, it's too late. We're pulled to the hospital. And so we showed up. And yeah, sure enough, the ER was furious with me. But again, I just believed the person, right? You think, and she didn't believe she was pregnant either.
Oh my God.
So that one was a.
Well, there are these weird stories of like women getting their period.
There's
all
a whole
throughout.
show.
Right.
Yes, I didn't know I was pregnant.
I did. Right. Yeah. I think it's not, a lot, but I think it's not terribly uncommon. I think everyone I've talked to who works in the ER or ambulance has had a situation like that.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Literally my worst nightmare.
It didn't happen to me. The thing about the cornucopia is just frustratingly, like hacky, right? Like if I were to write that,
it seems fake
on Thanksgiving, just be too on theme, right? And the same thing, and that's what's I think the most frustrating to me dealing with people. My buddy who used to be my partner on the ambulance, he's now an ER nurse, and he had one a couple summers ago. A guy come in with really bad 3rd-degree burns all over him. And it turns out that he was getting ready for a white supremacist rally and was filling those
tiki
torches and absolutely burned the shit out of himself.
Oh my God.
So it's just like, again, if you were to write
it sounds
you
fake.
Would get the note.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they just say that's too on the nose.
Yes.
Holy
shit. But that's karma for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Alex, this is so, we're going to have you on again for more stories. Cause this is like
for hours.
I know. I swear to God, this should be like a whole new podcast of just like crazy ER stories.
Oh,
although
absolutely.
There's I guess 15 shows about it. I'm now addicted.
There's a lot.
I'm addicted to all these reenactment shows now of, ask Hillary to help me become a reenactment actress. That's my new passion in life.
So I went to college with a girl whose father was a professional reenactment actor.
Wow.
And we were there orientation weekend, and I was at a table with, a bunch of guys I just met. I was like, that guy's famous. What do you mean he's famous? He's like, I saw him in a Lifetime reenactment. She's like, what? And then we went up and asked him, and the guy, he does. That's just all like rapist, killer. It's all he does
So
is just
amazing.
bad guy in a.
Oh my God.
And I guess he does enough of it
That-
where you can pick him out.
That's like, I mean, it's a niche like job that I'm sure if there's but I wonder if you're that guy, if people, and you watch a ton of those shows, if it's distracting, if you've seen that guy before, or if you like it, where you're like, oh, that's my
that
dude.
guy,
That's
he's
my
good.
reenactment dude.
He's like the
I think
George
you like
Yeah, I
Clooney
think
of
you-
reenactments.
I think you like it, dude.
yeah.
That's my dude.
Yeah.
Alex, is there anywhere on social media or anything like that where you can be found or you want to be found? Nope, that's a hard no.
I don't have any. I know. I mean, you can follow my wife or my cat,
Okay, where's your cat? Where can people follow your cat?
Birdie the kitty.
Yeah. You have a Persian, right?
I do.
so cute.
She's waddling around here. It was her birthday on Friday.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Big deal.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
How old?
Happy birthday. 6 years old.
Oh,
Wow.
good age.
Good age.
Good
Yeah,
age.
Yeah, it is. We bought her in a Target parking lot in Pasadena. That's where we got her.
Oh.
Yeah. We thought we were being scammed. It was not a scam.
That's an incredible, another incredible
Yeah.
story. Alex, thank you so much. And we'll let you know when this comes out. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It was so nice
You
meeting
too.
you all.
Have a good one.
All right.
Bye, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
So, if you have any crazy ER stories, if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, and anything weird, you've viewed anything weird, or if you've gone to the hospital for anything weird, Melissa, or if you have any embarrassing sex stories, I'd honestly be down to hear that too. Melissa, where can people reach us? Or if you believe that women shouldn't be doctors.
You can email us at webcrawlerspod@gmail.com.
All right. Well, I am Allie. That cucumber story is not about me. I swear to God. Siegel.
And I'm Melissa. Wash your cucumbers, Stetton.
Yes.
And I'm producer Maria. Why not make a salad? Blasucci.
Yeah.
Why not make a nice salad?
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
An Erios original.
Powered by ACAST.